I would always think about the tech design limitation. Okay, it's going to be about like, sir, will AI replace the job? So what is this chat GPT? So what is this new thing? Because as a UX designer or a developer, you have a hierarchy that you need to talk to.
Hey, hi guys, hi, how are you guys doing? Super awesome to see you guys again. Welcome to the Design Hat podcast. And today we have a very special guest. I've been trying to get him on the podcast for the longest time, and at last, the time has come. We have Anirudh Palaskar with us, and he is heading product and design at Cyberdive. And let's get him on board and let's get this podcast started. Hey, Anirudh, how are you doing?
Hey, Abhay, nice to see you, man. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Like, just because of the time difference, I know we could not get onboarded on the same
Yeah.
time. But finally, here we are. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for like getting me here.
Super awesome to have you here. Let's get started with just starting with the question of how I ask everyone, like,
Mm-hmm.
how exactly did you got into design? And I think
Mm-hmm.
your introduction will come with these pieces as well, like how we go through your journey. But let's just
Mm-hmm.
get started with how did you got curious about design and how did you got into the design world?
Mm-hmm. Got it. So basically, it all started from 10th standard when I like started Photoshop and all stuff. We were waiting for the 10th standard result, and back in time there was Orkut and Facebook both going on parallelly. So we were like spending a lot of time on Orkut rather than Facebook, because that time Facebook was like way tech savvy for me to understand. So at Orkut, you used to make a lot of graphics for people, like an identity card, their birthday card, their greeting cards. You have multiple groups over there. So that's how I first got exposure to Photoshop. Okay, I was so happy and excited about Photoshop that I actually made a page on Facebook called editorial photography. So I would ask people to like just put your raw photos and I'll edit with graphics, I'll change the background, I'll do every cleaning for you just for free. And it been for like 6 7 8 months and I was doing pretty good at it. But then, like being an Indian student, the only thing we know is engineering, at least to me. So I always wanted to be an engineer. I never knew that design as a career was always an option here in India or in USA. So then we continued to like go forward. I continued to my engineering, but in like second year of my engineering, got a chance to work at AMC, like which is like a magazine for a college. Associations eventually. So there I started with graphic designing for the magazine and other stuff, and slow and steadily like graduated from that intern as a graphic to a head of design over there, where I would actually manage the entire community and hire people and like get the things done, do the website of a college. That's when I got more into it, and I got to know that there's not just the editing that I was supposed to do with graphic designing. There's so much, like there's typography, there's colors, and there's a reason behind every single thing, right? Like I would randomly put green color and red color because it's like aesthetically appealing to me, but I would never care about is it not the same for the other people also. So it all went in that phase. So after that, cut to when I'm done with my engineering, I got a job as a full stack developer. So I did it for a very long time. I was been into development for like since my engineering time. But once in my first job, I got to understand that like I always felt that I'm solving the problems for end users and the world. I'm tech savvy person. I'm solving and making world a better place. But then I got to know I'm just like I'm mapping the pixels from the images that the designers are giving back to me, and there's not much of a contribution that I'm doing as a tech. So then I got to know, because there was a time where I had to wait for the UI screens to come to me so that I can develop the front end and then stitch the back end. Then I got to the place of UI design and saw, so I was like, you know what, UI designers are someone who is solving the problem and not the tech person. So I started learning more about it, started to discuss with the design team. Then I got to know that the UI team is also waiting for the wireframes from the UX team. Okay, then I was like, wait, there's more to it. Okay, so it's not just UI, there's something called UX. And that's how I got there, and I got to see the process that they're following, like talking to user, taking decision, doing hypothesis, doing so many frameworks which I could like never think of also. Then I got to know, okay, so UX is the closest to the users. We are just like transiting all the pixels to make it live and an end goal for the user. So then I got to know that, okay, UX design is something that is actually solving the problem. And being an engineer, what do you want to do, right? You want to like solve problem. Like the definition for engineering to us was always like solving problem, being innovative. So that was a point when it struck me that, what, like this is the place where the actual problem solving is taken care of and not what I'm sitting right now. So that's when I started learning more thing about it. And at a point I got so excited about it that, what, I wanted to quit my job. I went back to my family and I said, Mom, you know what, I want to learn something new. I want to grow into UX design field. I want to quit my job. So touchwood, we had a good financial situation, and my mom was like, you know what, just do whatever you want to do, we are there to take your back, which was like the supporting point for me. And then I just took a pause from my job, I quit it, and couple of like month or two I just spent like 14 15 hours a day like learning things. And that's when I realized that mentors are very important, because I could not find one. I would like literally spam every person to like question or reply to the question which I would never get. So that's how like I got excited about UX design field, by knowing that UX designer is this person who actually solved the problem statement. And the more I knew about it, the more I fell in love with it. And now I can definitely say that UX is something that I can do the rest of my life. And now UX had actually become a part of my life, like the way I talk, the way I behave, the way I think about certain things, the way I take care of all the use cases. Now it's also impacting my life, and I think it's already making my life better than what it was supposed to be as an engineer. So that was it all about.
Super interesting. So I think college played a great role. I think what you talked about, the magazine that you worked for, was that a college club?
We had a tech clubs, right? Like IEEE
Oh,
AMC
yeah,
club. So
yeah,
AMC
yeah.
was one of it. So we worked for that. So the college has a official magazine. Like for example, I was at Thakur College of Engineering. So we had our own magazine. So which is
Hmm.
still live on the website. And I'm always like, whenever I feel downgraded or something like that, Infosys Chamber, I'll go to TCET, Anirudh Palaskar, I'll download the PDF, and I see like what I was supposed to do and what I'm doing right now. So it gives a good comparison that you're already walked through a different miles and you have grown exponentially. And then I'm back in my phase and I work around it. So yeah.
Super awesome. I think that makes a great journey, that how you have grown through that. And I've seen a lot of people who are good in the design industry starting off with clubs and like pieces of these things inside the college, and that's how things start. Let me just curiously ask about what was like once you got to know about that UX design, UI design, what was the first job that you ever started doing as a designer?
Uh, I think that was when I was waiting for the UI and that transition going from UI to UX. That time I got to know that this is UX is something like that. So like for a couple of weeks before taking decision that I want to move back to it, I would like stay back with the UX designer and understand what they are doing. Okay, so there was more very generic pages back in 2014 and 15. So I actually started working with an onboarding screens for the people. Like they were like, what, we want to onboard people on our app right now. It was in classes and institute app, so we need to communicate the message. I was like, why do you want to like, I had a different perspective that if I want to access an app, just show me the app. What is this all about? Educating me. I have like, I'm
Hmm.
educated enough to understand what a tech app is more like, what I want to do. But then they got to explain me the entire persona, the journey, the user flows and everything. And then they told me that there's something called target audience. Okay, there are people, like there are new target audience, old target audience, there are power users. So every people has their own mentality, every people has their own perspective about it. So I think my starting was there in terms of a user base. Okay, so I got to know, okay, first point, every people thinks differently, and you need to cater the needs of every people, or at least combine them into multiple groups, call them persona, and then solve for them, rather than just saying, what, everything. So since that time, like that was the first, let's say, a problem statement or a gyan that I got in my brain, that what you're solving for users. So that's why ever since from that day to this day, I would never compromise on like talking to target audience first and taking decisions. And then I started learning my self thing. But once I got to work on first project, that was an project for let's say HDFC Bank insurance project, which I got to work from my internship eventually. But the starting was more of the users and their mentality eventually.
Super interesting. What would you say would which is your one of the best project that you think you have worked till now?
Okay, I think the generic answer would be like all of it, because you put all your blood, sweat into it, and you always take every project is individual. But I think I would select Eat Shore app, which is of Rebel right now, because
Hmm.
uh, for every other project that I worked for, HDFC, Kotak Mahindra, Axis Bank, or so on and so forth, I got enough amount of time to do things that I want to do as a UX designer. I had my breathing space to do, like I was more comfortable, like take 2 weeks for user research, or like take 2 weeks for like just doing the flows, because time was never an issue for them, like for HDFC and banking platform. But at Rebel, when I was hired at Rebel, I was hired for some other app to lead. But then just I came into Rebel and COVID hit and we stopped that app. And then we moved to another app called Eat Shore. So that was a time when I was allowed to lead the Eat Shore app, and we had to do things very quickly. Okay, we did not have time. So that was a time where I could actually utilize and like go to my intuition, utilize all the learnings that I had from my previous job, and take a decision based on what I've been doing, and also define hypothesis at the same time, and also understand that before this goes live or once it goes live, we need to validate and quickly do it. And that's how I understood the concept of MVP also, like minimal viable product. It's not always that you have enough time to give the best of you. Sometimes you have time crunch, and in that time crunch, how do you come out as a UX designer and still provide an optimal solution? So I think that was a game changer for me as a career. And that till that moment I was always a lean designer, okay. And I would proudly say after that project, I told my manager that I now have turned down to a agile framework, and I am happy about the agile framework, because I had a perspective that for design you don't have to rush into things, you have to follow the lean structure. But then you can't do, like, you don't have an ideal situation everywhere across the world, right? If there's a burning need, you still need to show your skill and get it done. So that's how I got it, and I think that would be forever my best project, because I got to collaborate with so many people. There was so much of help, there was so much of learning, collaboration, and so much of stress also, because if that app fails, okay, the entire company would go upside down, our jobs would go. So that was something, in that amount of stress, if you still could do something great, doing great right now with 5 million downloads, I think that is one of a kind of experience I would want everybody to have in their life, because it changes you forever.
Super. I think that's how you create that impact. You feel that that's the design that have created the most impact, and it makes sense for sure. Let's go deep down into the experiences that you have had a lot of experiences in terms of design, and you said you started working as a engineer first, and then started to know about design and got your experiences. What would you say, what like how has those experiences grown you as a designer?
Got it. So basically, being an engineer, I would always I developed a perspective of that. You know what, get shit done. So we were always taught that, you know what, as an engineer, I don't want you to come and tell that the table is not working. I want you to tell that the table was not working and I fixed it by XYZ medium. So it's more like, just get the problem solved, come back to me. So it's like, identify your own ways rather than telling me. So like the first employer, also employers that I worked for had the same perspective, that don't tell me what are the problems are. Tell me, this is the problem, this is a solution that I propose. What is your perspective on that? I don't want you to be the complaining kid, like you're not 12, okay. So I think that some of the experience which was not correlated to the work that I've been doing as an engineer or as an UX designer, those learnings from the people that I've worked with, this engineering, helped me a lot, and set my perspective towards life. First of all, that, you know what, there's gonna be problem, there's gonna be issues, you need to first build up that attitude to that you can solve it, or at least give it a try, like. And you have to be like open to yourself, that I'm in my learning phase, I can make mistake, I'm not perfect. And you should accept that fact, that saying, you know what, there was a problem, I did this solution, and here is it, what do you think about it? Rather than, so I would always, even today, I would always say, you know what, like, even if I talk to my interns or very very fresh people, as a head of product, I would say, you know what, this was the problem statement, I think this is the solution for it. What do you think about it? Rather than saying, you know what, this is a solution for it, let's just implement it. What do you think about it? Feel free to like give your thoughts. That is what you are, like, open to collaboration, open to changes, open to feedback. So these simple things have actually built a great amount of knowledge together, and like helped me exponentially grow into my career. And one of the best part that I tell everybody, being an engineer, we were always close to the technology, right? Like front end, back end, we know what is API, we know what is the amount of time it takes from data to be sent and to come over there. These all things got to me very nicely. And then when I started implementing my design, I would always think about the tech design limitation, okay. I would always think about, okay, the loader is needed over here, not because I have learned it online, because I know the API would take 100 milliseconds to come. And then I'll go back to the developer, that, you know what, 100 milliseconds is very much, you need to reduce it to a very smaller level. But for the worst cases, if the data is not coming, I'm going to show this loading state, or I'm going to show this text, which is like a huge deal right now in industry, like 2022 or 2023. So that's how, like, whatever you learn is like something that you implement. I think it makes the most out of you as a designer eventually.
Makes sense, and I think that's a great insight about how the tech design limitation is an important part of being a designer, and knowing it is always a bonus. It helps the engineering as well as you to know what you can design and what you can expect from an engineer, and always the handoff, the knowledge, the KTs, and everything goes much more faster. Super awesome. Let's go a deep dive into what you're doing right now and how everything is going at Cyberdive. So tell us about it.
Okay, cool. So Cyberdive right now we are doing pretty great. So we are solving a problem statement. Like if you see, India has a different set of problem statement when it comes to kids, parents. When you talk about US, you know there are gun problems, there are cyberbully, there are like people getting into drugs and so on and so forth. So as a founder, Derek Jackson and Jeff feels that the kids are the core building blocks of any economy or any country. Okay, so if you get your youth do things right, you can make the country go exponentially high. So that is why what we're trying to do is solve a problem for the kids, because kids right now don't have that much amount of knowledge in their early stage of their building habits, that what is right for them, what is wrong for them, if they're getting cyber bullied, if they're like getting into wrong hands, if somebody is trying to lure them into meet at some places, somebody is like actually cyber bullying it. So we developed a software, like Cyberdive developed a software first which could actually identify these threats to kids. And then solving that problem statement, they got to know that what, we need to full-fledged the solution to a proper digital ecosystem. So we launched our own cell phone called Aqua One. So now Aqua One goes to the kids from, let's say, 6 to 14 or 15 aged, and whatever they do, whatever they use, whatever they are searching, it's everything shown on the dashboard for the parents. So parents is always aware of what the kids are doing. The main focus is mental health check. So the kids has to answer a couple of questions before actually using the phone. It's 3 times a day, and that is psychological backed up question through which we do sentimental analysis and tell how the kid is feeling today. And same mental health checks are shown to the parents that your kid is feeling great today, not feeling great today. Then we give some tips to them. What, this is what you need to do to talk to your kids right now, which allows parents to take certain action. Then we have 24/7 location access for the kids. So a cell phone has the Android OS, which is stock OS. It will never allow anyone to disable the location. So no matter wherever you are, the location will always be shared with the parents. So the parents don't have to worry and call you, bhai, where are you? They would just go to the app, see the location. Okay, you're like 25 miles away. I'm cool with it eventually. And certainly we have alert as a module. So if your kids is like searching for like unknown pregnancies, searching for sex, searching for porn, searching for guns near me, searching for what to do if I'm cyber bullied, so we have algorithms to identify those patterns like bullying, sex, pregnancy, guns, and then we make sure we create an alert and send it to the parents that your kid is searching for guns, your kid is studying for cyber bullied. And at the same point, so that parents can quickly take a action onto it. Because the way generation is going on, like most of the issues that happen in US also, like some random gun shooting at some old parents and so on and so forth. So he first made a comment on Facebook saying that, what, I'm going to go and kill that XYZ thing. And then he committed that thing actually. So if there was some mechanism via which we could like actually trigger that, what, his intention to do something, if that was the same notified to their parents, they could have done something, right? So that is what we are trying to solve. So now we covered more than like 150 platforms. Okay, like you tell about a social media platform, we cover it: Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You do anything on Instagram, if you're doing something suspicious or someone is actually trying to like, you know we have algorithms where if the kid or the person is not into their family or first contact, we also notify the parent that someone is trying to talk to your kid of this age, of this profile. So that helps parents to take actively measures to do things for their kids eventually. So that's what we are doing right now, and I love this mission,
So
to be very honest.
super interesting problem statement for sure, and I think it's for sure it's a bigger problem statement all across the world. But I'm assuming you are currently catering to the US audience majorly, right?
Yes, it's dedicated
So
to
yeah,
us right now.
but it's super awesome. It's a very awesome problem statement to solve, and for sure I think uh, it's something to kind of look forward to.
Mhm.
How's your just want to dive deep into this just the position that you are in, the head of product design. How's that dealing with you? Like, because you have grown in your career from as an intern and slowly being curious about design, and then
Mhm.
now heading design. How's that experience been? How do you feel?
uh Firstly, it feels great that you're like going up on your ladder, and then that last time I was a lead product designer, now I'm a senior, now I'm a head of product design. But that does matter only 10% of it, because 90% of it, what matters is what I'm doing and how fruitful the outcome is eventually. So when I was getting hired at this Rebel Food, or let's say Cyberdive, I was pretty sure that I don't care about the designation that you give me. I am more interested in what do you expect when I come into your picture or when I come into your organization. So that is more important to me. And I think right now it's doing pretty great because all the learnings that I had from Rebel Foods and the previous organization, so I don't limit myself just to UX design or let's say product design. I put my hands down to product management, the let's say prioritization graphs that we need to do, the frameworks that we need to imply. Let's say we go back to the marketing, if there's some metrics that we need to imply, if there's a process which is missing an outcome based approach, or there is metrics that are missing out over there, there are analytical tools if they're missing out there, there's user research in that is missing out there. So I put my hands in everything and anything that allows the process to be smooth and allows us to eradicate the redundant task. Okay, so that is what I think I have changed my mindset to, then rather than just catering to the users, now cater to the business plus users. So this is what I'm sitting right now, taking care of like product design management, putting my hands into marketing, even at the tech. If there are certain like let's say I would randomly open the app and see the light score house. And if I see the coding language, if I see the assets loading time, if it's a lot, I would just create a Jira ticket and tell to the developer, you know what, this is not good. Let's just fix it in maybe next roadmap, but let's just have a Jira ticket for the same. So I think as a head of product design, you're no longer a designer. Okay, you are like head of the product, and anything and everything that impacts the product is where you need to put your hands down to. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right now, putting my hands down to like customer queries also, chatbot also, sales also, inventories also, the management of money also. So that's what it is. And I think it's great when you're like, occupied and you know the 360 view, how does it actually work around your product. And I think someone in their early stage is definitely going to come to this stage, and I think this is the most beautiful stage of your career as a designer, where you know like 360 degree of what is happening. Because as a product designer, I was never known that how the business decisions were really taken, right? Like which features needs to go in P0, which goes into P1, or let's say in some other thing. Why don't we fix this tech issue right now, let's say because of the bandwidth. So now I know what is the front end bandwidth, back end bandwidth. Now I know if the feature needs to be implemented, we don't have enough bandwidth, so maybe I do a minimal available version of it, let's say MVP for a couple of quarters, and sitting and talking with leaders in their quarter planning. So it's great, man. You're like an integral part of everything that is happening in your organization, and it gives you more energy to keep on going, because like now people are counting on you for multiple things, not just providing some screens or UX research, right? So it's going great, to be very honest, like best time of my life right now.
Super amazing, and I'm super happy for you. And I think one of the key factors what you said about being having a 360 view of everything, and I think this also impacts while at the base you are a designer, and obviously being a head you have to take care of all of these things, and you have to have that 360 view. And I think as a designer specifically, I think these cross functional knowing of these things really improves a lot of the experience that you can create for a customer. Just for example, if you know about the customer queries, if you know about the support, you can use that to create a better experience for sure. So there are every field of that field I think especially helps you, and it's been a super awesome journey for you for sure.
Definitely.
Super awesome. I think it has been a super great experience, but now I think I have seen you being mentoring a lot of folks on ADP and other platform. I think I have two questions. The first, I really want to ask, how has mentorship played a key part in your growth, and if it has, like how it has impacted?
Got it. So basically, first of all, the main primary reason to get started with mentorship was like, I know the struggle of learning things on your own. Okay, so like you and me have been through it, and we know like something that I know I can tell you with 5 minutes, unless you spend like 2 3 hours on the same. So that was a motivation, like just be the mentor that you wanted back in time. So right now, becoming a mentor, it's a whole lot of responsibility, right? So the mentorship at first of all helped me with two things. First of all, being a very person who sticks to a calendar and being very organized, because I can't just randomly like tell mentors I'm free, come let's talk, right? Like you have to maintain a schedule where you want to communicate to the person at the right time, at the right phase. One thing that, and second, constant learning curve. I think mentorship has provided me as same as learning curve that I was doing on my own, because as a vendor you need to be updated to like what is going into the market right now. There's no restriction on what the question the mentors would ask you, like it's not always going to be, sir, how do I do Figma, how do I prototype. It's going to be about like, sir, will AI replace the job? So what is this chat GPT? So what is this new thing, mid journey, what is this AI is doing right now? So that's something that I think I appreciate a lot about being a mentor, that it always keeps you on the verge of things that you want to know. So it always pushes you to the next level, because as a designer you would always give excuses that I spend 12 hours a day working, I don't get time for my personal growth, for my personal learning. And I think that being a mentor like pushes you, bro, If you're sleeping at 10, sleep at 11, take 1 hour and study more, because tomorrow someone might end up asking you a question. And as I told you, mentorship is a huge responsibility. People counts on you, right? If there's a I've seen so many mentors taking critical decision on based on what I tell them, and that is why it's a huge responsibility. And I need to make sure that whatever advice that I give them, it has to be backed up by the experience and the knowledge that I have, rather than like something that I used to know in 2014. It's not working in 2020 right now. Okay, so that's something helped me in two ways eventually.
Super awesome, and I think that makes a lot of sense that mentorship really plays an important role. I think that was the purpose of me starting this design hat channel, so that people can know people's experience and people can know how people grew themselves in their career, so that they can get some pieces out of it and kind of like kind of add them to their pieces. Super awesome. I think we are coming to almost some of the last questions, but I think one of the questions I really want to ask, like, uh, I think I've seen you. I think as growing in your career, you started recently with a lot of design content and design influence a bit. Like, what was the reason? Like, how did you start, and what is the future? Like, what are you looking out for?
So, the way I did it was like back in 2000, let's say 20, when I started going back and sharing knowledge or doing ADP list mentorship on October. So the issue was that everybody who would come to me on ADP list, let's say 80% of the questions would be redundant. Okay, everybody will ask the same question, everybody will ask the same issues, and what I was doing was I was just reiterating the same answers, same feedback, same thing to every single person. And then I got to know, you know what, like, if I mentor 100 people, 80 people have the same question, do I need to do redundant task all over again? No. So let's just find a solution to it. So that's when I like made a quick post and gave the commitment that I'm going to make video and going to start a series called Roadmap to UX Design, where I'm going to solve all your common queries first, which is common across the globe or across India right now. And that's how I decided that I don't want to do this redundant task. Okay, yes, I want to add value to their life, but I don't want to do this redundant task of like telling one answer 75 times to the same person or different person. So now even on Instagram, when people ask me same question, I would just share a link or I would share the post, you know what, I have explained in details, you can go and look into it. If you have more question, you can come back to me. So that was the motivation. And to be very honest, it's a content creators economy right now. So you can reach out to maximum people by actually sharing your content on social media, rather than reaching out to everybody individually, right? Like something that I'm sharing to you right now, it's one on one. If I do the same thing with other person, it's going to be 1 hour plus 1 hour, just two-person. But now if I post this content somewhere on social media, it's going to reach out to 3,000, 4,000 minimum people at the same time. So that was the motivation to like reach out to a lot of people and share the knowledge, rather than limiting to an offline medium on one. So yeah.
Super amazing, and I think that's what it's growing, and the content is really booming out. And I think
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose, to kind of like help a lot of people rather than just trying to help a single person. And that's how you reach masses and kind of creates a big impact. Super
Yeah.
awesome. I think I have a single. I think I have two questions left. The first
Mhm.
one is, so you have been through a great experience, now leading product design at a really awesome company, solving a
Mhm.
super awesome problem, creating content, everything. But what's next for Anirudh? What's next in your life?
Okay. So, like, I would definitely want to give a generic answer, because I personally feel that in my life, I definitely want to be a like chief design officer for a well-known design company. Let's say Adobe, for example. I want to lead the design, like, so people who design for the world. I want to lead that company for sure in my career. Whenever it happens, let's say I'm 35, 36, 40, 41. But once that happens for like couple of years, I'm definitely want to like drop down on every single thing that I've been doing and pursue this thing of like going forward and giving talks and educating the youth about tech and design in the same manner. So I would want to just go forward and talk about it, like be content creator for like whole time and like corporate training and stuff. So I would want to like go to the base of a company and like put that roots into it. For example, there's so many companies that I last year did like corporate training for, like be Blue Learn being one of it, where I got a chance to actually integrate all the processes sitting with Hirsch and every other people over there. So that's what I want to do in the longer run. Once I'm done with the CDO thing, I'm going to strive hard to be there and gain as much as knowledge as possible. Once I'm there, I'm going to lead it for like a couple of years, and still it is stable, I can put down to it. and then I would just want to go back and share knowledge as much as possible, because till that time you're done with your financials and sorted. Like I don't have a vision to like make like crores of money, like 5, 10, 15 crores is like cool, man. Like you what else do you want after that, right? Like there's like the more money you make, the more money you want, is what I've realized. Okay, sometime I was happy at 20,000, now I'm not happy at like 1 cr, 2 cr. Sometime I'll never be happy at 10 cr also, right? So that's why I've like put a full stop to it, that maybe max by 40, 45 I would just want to keep down everything else. Definitely I'm been doing a lot of financial investment for my retirement and all stuff since I was like 24, 22. So finances are definitely going to be sorted out, and then I'm going to take this decision to like go back to the community quickly.
Amazing, amazing. I think it makes a lot of sense, the vision and everything for sure. Let's just dive down to the last question of the podcast. So I ask everyone this, and I really want this to be the most impactful question. So, what would you advise? Just can be a single, can be a two-piece advice, can be a three-piece advice, up to you. But what would you
Mhm.
advise to the budding designers seeing this, like how they should start, like getting into the design industry? What advice would you want to give them?
Okay. So, getting into UX design, I mean, you know it better that it's not that simple, because you have multiple nodes of a tree. Okay, you can't find that, there's a specific node I can sit down to it. But everybody who wants to get into the UX design, I always tell them that you should always start with three important things. First, your communication skills. Okay, first focus. Like forget about UX design, forget about tech, forget about everything that you want to do in your life. Okay, focus on communication first, because unless and until you have or you're good at communication, you will never be able to express your idea or thoughts. Okay, be it sales, be it marketing, communication is always the core principle. Okay, once you're done with that, go for and do collaboration, because as a UX designer or a developer, you have a hierarchy that you need to talk to, like your design lead, your product managers, your tech, your stakeholders. You need to sell your idea, so collaboration is important. And once you sell your idea, if your communication is not good, you're not able to sell that idea also, right? And then last would be problem solving skills. Like be good at identifying problem and solving it. Let's say, for example, outcome based approach. Always try to do something where you identify a problem, you identify its impact on different people's life, and then you try to ideate on things, that how do I overcome it. If you have these three things very well settled down in your life, every single thing that you need to know as a UX designer will fall in its own place. Because once you start to know how to solve a problem statement, there always be a roadblock. How do I do this? So you go that and then figure out that how. Then you go forward. Okay, this is done. How do I do this? You go and then figure out that one, rather than like actually sitting and like learning everything, opening books and opening YouTube studios and all. It's not gonna help. So that's the main advice I would like to give: communication, collaboration, problem solving skills. And trust on me, everything else would fall in its own place the moment you start growing or start solving problem statement. So you don't have to stress about it.
Amazing, and I think that's a very impactful advice, and I think people should try to kind of get that into their place, and I think that really helps them to kind of sort out a lot of things that they're trying to do when they're starting in their design career. For sure, for sure. And I think it's been a super awesome podcast, Anirudh, and I think people are gonna get a lot of insight from this one. It was really crisp, clear, and to the point of telling people how has been your journey and what kind of have impacts, what kind of impacted your design journey, and how they can also take notes and take help from these bits and pieces out. Uh, awesome journey. I think thanks, Anirudh, for coming on the podcast and kind of sharing your knowledge, sharing your journey. I hope that it really reaches out to the masses and really helps them out and sorts out their
Right.
thoughts and everything around that.
Right, right. I'll definitely thank you a lot also, man, for doing this and like actually getting someone who has some experience and show that to the people. I have seen previous podcasts with Anurag and other people that you are doing. I think that's a great initiative, to be very honest. And I was like, why didn't I do it first? Okay, because of having so much of networking power right now in 2020, 22, and 23. So I think it's a great thing that you started, man. And I would like wish you all the very best to keep doing it. Like try to get some VP and head of product design, other people, start to get some product managers, some tech people who would share their experience, and so that the end users to which this video reaches out knows the 360 degree of every single thing, like from
Yeah.
engineers perspective, product management's perspective. So it's great, man. Thank you so much for doing this thing, and thank you so much for bringing me on board. I'll be more than happy to like connect going forward whenever you need me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Anirudh, and thanks a lot everyone for watching this out. I'm gonna link Anirudh's socials and I think ADP profile as well, just in case you wanna connect with him and get mentored by him. I will. You guys can reach out to him, and you guys can see a lot of his content. He creates awesome content, and give shower some love to him as well. Thanks, Anirudh, and thanks everyone for watching. See you guys in the next one.